Welcome back, everybody, to episode 16 of the RacePlazaMedia podcast. My name is Milan.
My name is Pia.
And today we're going to talk about MotoGP in Germany. The women are finally back racing on motorcycles.
Yes, exactly.
In England specifically. And then we also watched all of the 6 hours of the World Endurance Championship in Sao Paulo.
Yes, we sat through all 6 hours, but it was good. But we'll get to that in a second. We'll start off with MotoGP.
Exactly. So you, as always, watched the sprint race. So tell me.
Yes. So we had, of course, we're at the Sachsenring this weekend. So the big race in Germany that happens. And then we all know, or most people know, most MotoGP people know that's Marc Marquez's track. I mean, he had won there 8 times already going into this weekend.
He's considered the king of the Sachsenring.
Yeah, exactly.
I think 8 times with MotoGP, but 12 times total.
Is it really?
I thought it was 12 times total.
Oh, okay. I thought it was. But anyways, so he's won there plenty of times. I mean, it is his track because it's also counterclockwise, a lot of left turns. So it's the shortest track of the season.
So they do the most amount of laps.
Yes. And it was tricky conditions this weekend. Going into Saturday, the track was wet. It wasn't really raining as far as I remember, but it was definitely a wet surface. Which, of course, changed throughout the duration of the sprint race. But the big, or an upset going into the sprint race was, of course, that we were missing 2 riders. Enea Bastianini, he was out due to illness. And then Maverick Vinales was out due to an incident that he had earlier. I think on that same day, he had fallen and hurt himself.
Which is also the driver that we might have expected to be out would have been Alex.
Yes.
Due to having broken his finger and then having surgery, but he was actually cleared.
Yes.
And then Enea, it must be really, really bad for a driver to miss a race because of illness. Because, you know, those are like, hey, I'm going to race for no matter what.
Exactly. I mean, they race with literally broken bones.
Yeah.
Partially.
And I mean, not just the people on the bikes. It's also people in the cars. We'll get to that a little bit later.
Exactly. So, yeah. So he must have felt really ill. But then so going into this weekend, KTM was missing their second team completely.
Yeah. Really, really unfortunate.
Which is super unfortunate. And of course, both of them are very missed, especially Maverick Vinales, I thought was a big miss just because he's been having a pretty good couple of last races. So we've been seeing more of him. Of course, unfortunately, Enea, ever since he switched teams, he's not been quite as successful as of
I
yet.
think he's probably still a little bit struggling with the bike.
Yeah.
It's
which
also not a Ducati, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's a KTM. So it's a little bit of a bummer because I always loved seeing Enea last year, especially also competing for podiums. And now he's fighting for the top 10 even, you know?
Yeah, just for points, right?
Which is such a bummer. But so going into the sprint race, I was looking forward to it, especially because the track conditions were wet. And we had a very interesting starting grid.
Okay.
So we had Mark in the front, of course, but then next to him was Joan Zarco. And then next to him was Bisacci.
Okay.
Then in the second row, we had Morbidelli, Acosta, Alex Marquez. Then we had Quartararo, DG, Jack Miller. And then, I mean, Bagnaia was on level, or was in position 11. So he didn't have the best qualifying session, unfortunately. So I was hoping going into the race that would kind of, he would make up some positions. The start was really interesting. Mark had a really great start off the line, but then he went too hot into the first turn. And from watching the main race, the first turn is quite tricky, so he had to do like this really wide berth which gave a bunch of riders space for them to pass him, so he ended up falling back to like 5th or 6th position.
Do you know how many laps there are in the sprint?
There were 15.
So
it was exactly half.
Exactly half. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So that was really interesting. And then we had some really nice fighting in the front because there was Marco Bisacci, there was Fabio Quartararo, DG was there, Frankie Morbidelli was there for a long, long time. Unfortunately, he crashed out and he had a really bad crash. It was, I guess it was like 2 laps into it. And he had fallen off the bike, but then it also seemed like the bike whipped him over to the other side, which gave him so much momentum that he spun quite vigorously through the gravel and he stayed lying down. And I feel like that's just such an indicative thing that the riders are not well.
Do we know how he's doing?
Last I had read is that he was transported to Italy to get some more checks done.
Okay.
He was complaining about some pain in the shoulder and some other kinds of pains, but I haven't heard anything final yet.
I'm looking it up too, and as of recording of the video, there's no mention of how he is doing.
Yeah, so
wait. No.
Yes, I'm hoping we'll hear about it soon, that he will be back for the next race.
Yeah, because it is already next weekend,
yeah,
right?
so we'll see. But I mean, at least he didn't have to go through the whole Grand Prix. He could go home immediately on Saturday and get taken care of, evaluated and stuff like that. And hopefully also Maverick and Enea will be back for the main race, or be back for the next race weekend. But so going back to the main race, it was so fun because there was a long time then after Frankie had crashed out, there was a long time that Marco Bezzecchi was actually leading, because it took Mark quite a while to make it through the first part of the grid, or making up the positions, which was really surprising. And then it was almost a little heartbreaking that in then the last lap.
Oh, okay, last lap.
The very last lap, Mark had caught up to him and then was able to pass right at the beginning of the last lap. I think it was like T1, T2 maybe. And it was so conflicted because obviously I'm a Marc Marquez girl, but I was rooting for Marco Bezzecchi because I like him as well, and he's been doing really well these last couple of races and sprint races. So I was like, oh, this would be so nice for him and also for the team to have a win. I mean, being on the podium, and even so, Marc Marquez won. Marco Bezzecchi came in second, and if Fabio Quartararo came in third, which was also huge.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But then when the team principal from Marco's team was interviewed afterwards, they were like, you know what? We're so happy with second place because Marc Marquez is the king of the Sachsenring. So just to be able to fight him for a little bit is such a big win for us.
It is, yeah.
Then they were like, that's totally fine. And then Marco also in a post-race interview, he's like, of course, I'm a little bit bummed that it happened on the last lap.
Yeah, of course. Like, one more, come on.
Just
can I not hang on to it for one more? Yeah.
Exactly. So that's always, it's just a little bit of a bummer.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, Fabio Quartararo was so ecstatic about being on the podium.
Absolutely.
I mean, because he's been having some really great qualifyings. He's been having decent races, but he's been also just falling off of it a little bit. I think it's partially, of course, the bike also, him being on the Yamaha. So it was really nice that he was able to stay on the bike, keep it in contention for the entire race, and then, of course, end up on the podium because he and Digi had some really nice battling going on. So it was, very happy to see that.
It is kind of nice. And we saw this also going into the main race that, the Ducati is very strong, but it's good to see that now that we're exactly halfway through the season now, that we are seeing that Aprilia is showing a lot of potential, right? We're seeing that the Yamaha also has potential. So it's good to see that there is signs of fight from the other teams, because it's been a lot of just like Ducati's lockout in the front.
Yeah.
And so it's good to see that, and hopefully going into the season now, the second half of the season, we'll see more of that. So now let's go ahead and talk about the main race.
Yes.
So do you have the starting grid pulled up?
I do not, no.
Okay. I do not either.
I mean, that's fine.
Fine.
It was the interesting bit was it was completely dry.
Yeah.
This race, which was part of me was a little bit bummed that it was a dry race, just because Saturday we had a wet race. So I was like, oh, maybe we'll have a little bit of rain action. It just
always makes things a little bit more interesting.
Exactly. So,
but knowing how the race ended, maybe it is a good thing it wasn't a wet race because only 10 riders made it into the last lap or finished the race.
Finished the race, yes. I mean, we were down at least 3 riders going into the race.
Correct, but that still means 8 riders.
Yeah, 8 riders didn't finish. I mean, it was insane. I mean, starting off, it was a good start. We had
Mark had an excellent start right off the get-go, and then We're gonna talk about him real quick. Mark just like dominated this race, and he really just showed why he is the king of the Sachsenring.
Literally,
like he ended up winning the race by almost 8 seconds. Yes, like the finish timetable is 6.3, but it's because he started dancing on his bike.
Yeah.
Going over the finish line, and obviously you don't have to push the last lap.
Yeah.
You bring it home, especially with an 8-second lead.
Yeah,
but it was so dominant.
It was truly insane. Like he was riding away in the front, like just building and building his lead, and people behind him were falling off the bike.
Yeah,
literally. I mean, we lost.
Stay with him.
Yeah, exactly. We lost so many riders, and it's a lot of them we lost in T1, T2, because it goes over like a little bit over a lip going down into a right hander, and that's where we lost probably at least half of the riders.
I would agree with that,
if not more. At the beginning, it started off slow. We had Savadori went down, but then he got back onto the bike, so it was fine. We had some really nice battling in the front between Marc Marquez was in the front, but then we had DG right there behind him, and it was a little bit of a gap between DG and Marc.
But then there was some fighting starting a little bit between Besecchi and DG, because they were 2 and 3, and then it was they switched positions. But then the very unfortunate thing happened in lap 17. DG went down in second place.
Yeah, which was such a bummer because it looked like he had the second place pretty secure, which was, it was just so unfortunate. Going into that first turn, the bike just went away from under him right before, or like several laps before that. Pedro Acosta had gone down already. Oliveira had already gone down.
2 and 3 respectively.
Exactly. Which also for Pedro Acosta, so unfortunate for KTM. They were already missing 2 riders. Then he was actually competing potentially for a podium position because he was up there with them.
With the group that was kind of battling between 5 and 3, I would say.
Exactly.
Maybe.
We had a really nice group there that were really fighting. But yeah, so unfortunate that he went down in the same lap. Joan Zarco. Oh, wait, sorry. In the same lap as DG went down. Joan Zarco went down, which was...
The same turn. He was even investigated for maybe... I didn't know that was a thing, crashing under a yellow flag.
Yes.
Essentially because they're like, he should have had enough time, but it seemed like he didn't have enough notice to him noticing the yellow flag and then, him crashing.
Yeah.
We actually got a second investigation for that as well, I think later on.
Yeah, exactly. Because then we had Besecchi went down then.
3 laps later.
3 laps later, which was so unfortunate.
When he was in P2.
Exactly. And then it seemed like the second place was just cursed.
Yeah.
Because he went down. A lap afterwards, Ogura had brought down his bike and so unfortunately took out Joan Mir, which was just so heartbreaking. And Ayo Ogura, he was also apologizing like vehemently because you could tell that. I mean, obviously it wasn't intentional. No. It was the same thing going into T1. He dropped the bike and then the bike slid. But then because there was such a tight group still, which was super exciting that they're all fighting there, that he just took out Joan Mir, which is so unfortunate.
Excuse me. It's also the way the corner is set up. If you Ogura drop the bike in the first half of the corner, if there are other people, you might take them out, right?
Yeah.
That's the same thing the way Acosta wiped out. He wiped out the beginning of T1, but he went kind of like over the gravel, and I was like, oh my god, a little bit more speed. If he wasn't braking, his bike would have probably come out on the track on the other side of the corner. So it's an intense corner in general. But then Joan Mir, 2 race weekends now back to back where he's a casualty of someone else's mistake is just so unfortunate.
So unfortunate. But that meant, I mean, the end result was Marc Marquez rode away. I mean, it was a lonely race for him. Yeah. And then very surprising, just because of all the outtakes that we had, Alex Marquez ended up coming in second, injured coming in second, and then Pecco Bagnaia, who was nowhere
started in 11th. I think.
And who was also nowhere competitive in the sprint race because he ended up coming in 12th during the sprint. He ended up on the podium with 3rd, and I mean, you can't complain about that because if DG, if Marco Besecchi, if Pedro Acosta, if none of them would have crashed out, I think it would have been very difficult for either Alex or Pecco to be on the podium, if not impossible.
Yeah, I think so. And I think also after the race, you can definitely tell that Alex was hurting.
Yeah.
This is obviously a lot of stress 30 really, really fast laps around a probably a little bit more difficult track because of the pace, I'm assuming, then yeah, it is. I mean, it is really interesting because of everything that happened. We kind of got a similar race result like we always get.
Yes.
Which is the two Marquez brothers and then Bagnaia on third.
Very true.
Bagnaia even said it in his post-race interview. I guess it doesn't matter where I start. I'll always finish in third. He didn't seem as beat up or down about it. It almost seems like he is content with that. He's like, this is where it is now. And
I think he's maybe gotten to a place where he's just accepting it. This is what it is.
And like the likelihood of him taking the fight to Marquez is only possible if for whatever reason their performance would flip in the second half, which I don't think anyone is really expecting.
And I mean, like, Bagnaia is giving it his best. He's doing what he can. He's getting very important points for the team, for the manufacturer. And then he's doing all he can, all that is in his power right now. And then it is what it is, because beating up yourself about it more and more doesn't really help.
It doesn't really matter. What I did want to also bring up, it is of course very, very unfortunate that Savadori crashed out twice during this race, because this is the last time for a while we will be seeing him on the Aprilia, because we have reigning MotoGP champion Jorge Martin returning next weekend on the Aprilia. He will be racing back on the track. He'll be back on the track, and I'm very, very excited to see him back on there, because we see Besetti doing really, really great things on the Aprilia. And then having someone of like a champion on the bike will be really good. I know that he really wanted to leave Aprilia, or he wants to leave Aprilia, but then now he has done some testing, and it seems like the results have been really good. So some people are like, we don't understand why he's trying to leave, because the bike is in a good place, but I'm just interpreting this my way, but I'm thinking maybe he is some type of superstition, or he thinks that bike is bad luck.
Oh, I could believe that, yes.
Because I know that some, not all of them, but some MotoGP drivers
or athletes in general
are super superstitious. Or they have very much their routines. I think like Valentino Rossi was like really hardcore about even which shoe he puts on first, which glove he will put on first. So I could see that like, hey, I've crashed now twice with this bike. And I've gotten really, really hurt both times. And once again, this is probably not even the bike's fault, right? It's just unfortunately life sometimes. But I could see that that's why he was maybe like not thrilled about continuing his contract. But Aprilia wants to keep him, of course. So I know that there's some dispute, but I'm hoping, honestly, if he can finish top 5, I'd be ecstatic for him.
Oh, for this upcoming race? I mean, that would be huge.
That would be huge,
because it's been so incredibly competitive. And it has been outside of the first place really interesting. I mean, I live for it, but it has been more interesting behind it. And especially now there's a lot more riders fighting for the podium positions and for like within the top 5, which has been really interesting. So I'm curious to see how he holds up compared to everybody else. So we'll see. I mean, I hope he will do well. I'm excited to see how he does this upcoming weekend, but only time will tell.
Because we'll be back
this upcoming
weekend, and then we're off for a month. So
wait, is it?
We're off because we're gonna be in Czechia. And then after that, we're going to be off for a month, and then I'll be back at the Red Bull Ring in Austria.
It's so interesting that he comes back for this race and doesn't wait for the month, but maybe he just wants to try it and see how it works.
Also, especially because he's got the clearing, and they're like, I don't want to wait.
No, of course. And then that way you can
also like make some adjustments. You have a month, right?
Exactly.
To do some more. And I know that he will have in that month more testing. I think he has 2 more testing sessions in that time frame, so that will be probably a good way to get like a read on the bike in the race, and then get some practice in there.
Nice. Oh, I'm excited. I'm really curious to see how he does. I hope he does well. I hope he stays on the bike.
Just stay on the bike. Honestly, stay on the bike, but a top 5 finish would be awesome. Top 10, just make top 10 would be.
I think top 10 would be.
Top 10 is probably realistic.
Yes.
I would honestly surprised if he didn't finish in a top 10. just because of the type of rider he is. And I think the Aprilia is very much capable in finishing top 10.
But let us know in the comments if you have any thoughts on it. Where do you think Jorge Martin will end up in his first race back? Will he make it into the top 5? Will he make it into the top 10? What are your thoughts? Let us know.
So before we finish up the MotoGP portion of this podcast or video, I wanted to talk about a standing real quick, which is just devastating. Devastating. I mean, Marc Marquez is almost 100 points up on second place.
Yes.
He has an 83 gap with 344 points to his brother, 261. Also really awesome. This weekend, Marc celebrated his 200th race and Alex celebrated his 100th race.
Oh, okay. Was it race or I thought it was maybe podium, but no, that makes sense. Race would probably make more sense.
Because I don't think Alex has 100 podiums.
I thought maybe in the world of
No, I thought over all categories this was like 203 entry and 100th entry.
Okay.
Because that would be a lot otherwise. So 261 points to the 344, and then Pecco Bagnaia really almost 150 points down.
Yeah.
197 points to Mark. 147 points to Marc Marquez. He has 197 points.
I mean, because Marc Marquez also the last 4 rounds he won sprint and the Grand Prix.
I mean, he's been so dominant.
I mean, incredibly dominant.